Welcome to the Deep Dive, your ultimate shortcut to being truly well-informed. We take complex information, stack up the sources, and extract the most vital insights and surprising facts, all with just enough humor to keep you hooked.
And today, we're plunging headfirst into a period that, well, utterly redefined American politics.
Mm.
The first roughly 200 days of the Trump White House.
It was quite a time.
Indeed. Our deep dive today is primarily based on Michael Wolff's Fire and Fury. Now, this book, it was originally conceived to cover just the initial 100 days, but it quickly expanded.
Right, because so much happened.
Exactly. It ended up encompassing over 200 days, ultimately closing out with General John Kelly's appointment and Stephen K. Bannon's notable exit.
And the sourcing sounds incredible.
It's remarkably comprehensive. Wolff draws from 18 months of conversations. With the president himself, most members of his senior staff, some interviewed dozens of times, and then many other individuals they spoke to. And Wolff indicates his sources spoke on deep background, off the record, and sometimes forthrightly on the record. So it offers this really panoramic view.
So this isn't just about rehashing the headlines you already scrolled past. Oh no. This is about pulling back the curtain on the genuinely surprising facts, the raw, unfiltered behind-the-scenes dynamics.
And the intensely human elements, really, that shaped what was an absolutely unprecedented period in American governance.
Yeah, we're going to unpack the internal rivalries that just simmered and then, bam, exploded. The pervasive communication chaos.
Oh, chaos.
And the personal peculiarities, right. Those things that truly define the beginning of an administration unlike any other in modern history. Prepare yourself, because we're about to explore the eye of the storm. The improbable path to power, campaign transition, and unexpected victory. Okay, let's kick things off with the very beginning, the campaign itself. It's truly fascinating how this whole endeavor started.
It really is.
According to Wolff's account, Donald Trump's initial motivation for running wasn't even really to be president.
No. What was it then?
It was far simpler, maybe more relatable to his prior career, to become the most famous man in the world. That was the goal.
Huh. Makes a strange kind of sense, I suppose.
And he apparently described the entire campaign as, and I'm quoting here, "This thing is so fucked up."
Wow. That level of candor, even internally, certainly sets a unique tone for a presidential bid.
Doesn't it?
What's truly illuminating here is how remarkably self-aware, or perhaps just utterly resigned, the campaign team was about their own prospects.
Resigned, yeah, that feels right.
Wolff describes them as a clear-eyed team. They were operating with this unspoken agreement.
That he wouldn't win.
Not just that he wouldn't win, but that, frankly, maybe she shouldn't be president.
Wow, so they actually thought that.
That's what Wolff reports. This perspective, of course, meant nobody truly had to grapple with that latter point until it was, well, too late.
It tells us so much about the mindset, or maybe the lack of expectations, within that inner circle.
And talk about an operatic unraveling. The book paints this vivid, almost theatrical picture after the infamous Billy Bush tape.
Oh, yeah, I remember that vividly.
Melania Trump, for instance, reportedly found the prospect of her husband becoming president just horrifying.
Yeah.
She was described as inconsolable,
Why? What was she afraid of?
fearing it would destroy her carefully sheltered life. That's the quote. And Trump himself, for his part, was unaccustomedly contrite.
That sounds rare.
Very. A rare moment, apparently. And he even offered her a solemn guarantee that he would not win. He seemed absolutely convinced of it himself.
He guaranteed he wouldn't win, to his wife.
That's the account. Which really raises the question about external events, right? Because something shifted.
Definitely.
Wolff notes that FBI Director James Comey's pre-election intervention, reopening the Hillary Clinton email investigation, that was seen by the campaign as crucial
Crucial how?
in helping avert a total Clinton landslide. That's how they perceived it. Which suggests a belief within the campaign that maybe the race was closer than people thought.
Interesting. So they thought Comey's move really tilted the scales.
It seems that way, yes. That external forces, perhaps more than their own strategy, were the deciding factor in that unexpected win.
Okay, so if the campaign wasn't really built to win, and even Trump didn't expect to, who are the architects behind this improbable ascent?
Well, Wolff points to a few key figures. Roger Ailes, the former head of Fox News, for one.
Right. What was his take?
He apparently saw Trump's rise as a direct, almost inevitable consequence of the whole right-wing media ecosystem he had, in his view, invented.
So he felt responsible in a way.
He believed he'd unleashed the very angry man currents that fueled Trump's victory. Interestingly, though, Ailes himself reportedly turned down running what he called Trump's calamitous campaign.
Why? Did he think it was unwinnable or just unmanageable?
Perhaps knowing the futility of advising a candidate so disinclined to take advice, that's the sense you get.
And then there were the Mercers.
Ah, yes, the Mercer family. Absolutely pivotal, though often kind of unseen. Robert and Rebecca Mercer effectively installed Steve Bannon and Kellyanne Conway into the campaign.
A move Trump didn't understand at first.
According to Wolf, Trump met it with vast incomprehension. But the Mercers had a mission,
Which was?
incredibly ambitious, deeply ideological, to construct this radical free market, small government, homeschooling, anti-liberal, gold standard, pro-death penalty, anti-Muslim, pro-Christian, monetarist, anti-civil rights political movement.
Wow. That's quite a list. So it wasn't just about winning an election for them.
Not at all. It was about fundamentally reshaping American society and politics. A much bigger game.
And speaking of influential families and their finances, Wolf touches on the Trump family's business dealings too, right? Including the Kushners.
Yes, he does. Jared and Charlie Kushner, Don Jr., Eric, Ivanka, all described as supporting their businesses in what Wolf calls the dubious limbo of international free cash flow and gray money in real estate.
And didn't Charlie Kushner have some legal trouble?
He did. The book explicitly notes that Charlie Kushner, Jared's father, had served time for tax evasion and witness tampering.
So that paints a picture of these intertwined business and political interests operating in this complex, maybe opaque financial world right from the start.
Exactly. It sets a certain context.
Uh-huh.
And the transition period itself. Utter chaos, according to Wolf. Even dazed.
Centered at Trump Tower, not D.C.
Right. Trump Tower basically upstaged the White House.
Yeah.
Visitors were forced into this, what was gleefully termed a perp walk for the cameras.
That sounds deliberate.
Oh, very. It sent a clear, almost defiant message. We're not only outsiders, but we're more powerful than you insiders. Richer, more famous, with better real estate. A projection of power, status, anti-establishment feeling.
It definitely made a statement. What about Trump's approach to expertise during this time, as he's preparing to take office?
Well, Wolf claims he knew nothing beyond building construction. Everything was off the cuff.
Really, nothing.
His social circle reportedly noted his wide-ranging ignorance, couldn't read a balance sheet, was a terrible negotiator. That's what Wolf writes.
Yeah, people followed him.
Exactly. Paradoxically, he was also seen as incredibly instinctive, a real force of personality who, crucially, could make you believe.
That's a fascinating contrast. Lack of conventional expertise, but this raw ability to command attention.
It really is, and it raises questions about what qualities were ultimately effective in that moment. The chaotic hunt for a chief of staff really illustrates this too.
Right, the chief of staff search, Ailes had some advice there.
Very direct, blunt advice.
Yeah.
Ailes told Trump, you need a son of a bitch as your chief of staff, and you need a son of a bitch who knows Washington.
Strong words. Did he suggest anyone?
He suggested Speaker Boner, to which Trump famously replied.
Yeah.
Is that, yeah. Which just highlights this profound unfamiliarity with the very establishment figures and the Washington system he was about to lead.
Incredible. So Boner was out. Who was his first choice then?
His friend, the real estate investor Tom Barrack.
Okay. What happened there?
Barrack declined, stating with remarkable bluntness, I'm just too rich.
Too rich to be White House chief of staff.
Apparently so. It speaks volumes about the unusual priorities, maybe, at play.
So Barrack's out. The fallback?
His son-in-law, Jared Kushner, according to the book.
Kushner, whom Corey Lewandowski apparently called.
The butler. Yes, perhaps bitingly. Staffers reportedly resisted Kushner getting the formal chief of staff title, though. Too many conflicts. The optics.
The family element again, always present.
Shaping key decisions from day one. And speaking of family, Chris Christie seemed like a logical choice for some role, right? Lots of political experience.
You'd think so, but no.
Wolf's account says his past role as a prosecutor, specifically sending Jared's father, Charles Kushner, to jail. That was the deal breaker.
Really? Who blocked it?
Ivanka's direct intervention, according to Wolf, led to Christie being completely removed from the Trump orbit.
Wow. Personal history trumping political expediency.
A stark reminder of the deep, personal stakes and long memories influencing who was in, who was out.
So after all of that, how did they land on Reince Priebus?
Priebus became what Wolf terms the default appointment. He was seen as a hero for sticking with Trump during the campaign, not abandoning ship.
Loyalty paid off?
To an extent. But the book indicates Trump quickly fell back on his natural inclinations to let nobody have real power,
Meaning?
meaning he deliberately ensured chaos. Priebus, Bannon, and Kushner all reported directly to him. No clear hierarchy.
That sounds unworkable.
It set the stage for conflict. It's even noted that Jim Baker, the model chief of staff from previous administrations, he explicitly advised Priebus not to take the job.
He saw the writing on the wall.
Seems like it. This chaotic setup from the very beginning guaranteed a turbulent, faction-ridden start. 2. The West Wing in flux. Personalities, power plays, and peculiarities.
Okay, so the stage is set. Let's dive into the actual West Wing now. Trump's unique presidential style.
Unique is certainly a word for it.
Wolf paints this vivid, almost unsettling picture. A president who didn't process information in any conventional sense, or, in a way, he didn't process it at all.
Yeah, that's a stunning claim.
He reportedly didn't read, didn't listen, preferred being the one talking, relying entirely on his own expertise, no matter how paltry or irrelevant.
And a short attention span on top of that.
An extremely short attention span. I mean, how does a staff even begin to govern with that? It sounds like an impossible challenge.
It illuminates a singular communication challenge, doesn't it? Imagine trying to brief someone who, basically by principle, resists traditional ways of taking in information.
And his personal environment within the White House sounds just as unique.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wolf details him retreating to his own bedroom, which was the first time since the Kennedys that a presidential couple had separate rooms.
Huh. And he added TVs.
Ordered 2 additional television screens, yes, and demanded a lock on his door, which apparently led to a brief standoff with the Secret Service over security protocols.
A standoff over a lock.
Seems so. And he reportedly reprimanded staff for picking up his shirt from the floor, saying he would strip his own bed.
Okay, these aren't just quirks. It paints a picture of someone creating a very specific, very insular, maybe defiant personal space within the White House.
Precisely. And then there's that detail about his fear of being poisoned.
Right, that one really sticks with you. Wolf mentions this long-time fear of being poisoned, which was one reason why he liked to eat at McDonald's.
Because nobody knew he was coming, presumably. Less chance of tampering.
It's such a surprising fact, a real insight into his personal peculiarities, maybe some hidden anxiety. Explains some unusual choices, maybe.
And tying into that, Wolf describes this deep, almost insatiable need for validation.
He couldn't understand why people didn't like him.
Yeah, described as ever uncomprehending about why everyone did not like him. He saw media criticism not as political opposition, but as a deep personal attack.
So it was always personal for him.
It seems that way. Ultimately, according to Wolf, he just wanted to be liked. This underlying desire for affirmation seems to have fueled so many reactions and decisions.
Which brings us neatly to the warring factions, the defining dynamic of the early West Wing. Bannon versus Jarvanka.
Ah, yes. Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump.
Let's start with Bannon's vision. How did he see the White House operating?
Not as a traditional hub, that's for sure. He reportedly saw the West Wing as a war room. He even stripped offices of furniture.
Why? To keep meetings short.
To limit discussion, limit debate. That was the idea. And he encouraged staff to read Halberstam's The Best and the Brightest.
As a warning.
As a cautionary tale about the establishment, about their hubris, shows his deep ideological bent, his distrust of conventional wisdom.
And his strategy.
Aggressive, shock and awe. The goal was to dominate rather than negotiate.
Any examples of that?
The controversial immigration executive order. Wolf recounts Bannon deliberately issuing it on a Friday. His explicit intent, as Wolf puts it, was to make snowflakes show up at the airports and riot.
Wow. He wanted riots.
He saw it as a way to crush the liberals, make them crazy, and drag them to the left, weaponizing public reaction for political goals. A deliberately provocative strategy.
That is certainly a different approach to governing, and Jarvanka's strategy was the opposite.
Completely different. They aimed for a reset, a total reset for the administration, hoping to speak to Trump's better self, support moderation.
And Ivanka had her own ambitions.
The book notes she harbored clear ambitions to be the first woman president, hinting at long-term goals beyond just this administration.
And Jared, what was his rationale for being there?
According to Wolf, it was pure leverage. Just being close to Trump, whom he apparently saw as almost a Delphic oracle or even a sun god.
A sun god, seriously.
Suggests a belief in Trump's almost mystical power, maybe, whose pronouncements were gospel, whose proximity was the ultimate source of influence.
So their goal was totally different from Bannon's, more about reaching out.
Exactly. Change the message, style, themes towards reaching out, believing that deep down, Trump just wanted to be loved. A fundamental divergence from Bannon's confrontational approach.
And this divergence led to friction.
Well, more than friction, deepening enmity. Bannon, who actually coined the term Jarvanka,
He came up with that.
he did. Derisively, he was reportedly horrified by their perceived presidential ambitions and what he saw as their terrible and self-serving advice. He thought they were destroying Trump.
Destroying his vision, maybe?
His original vision, yes. Wolf even recounts Bannon accusing Kushner of anti-Semitism, while also, kind of contradictorily, saying he wasn't tough enough on Israel.
The contradictions are dizzying, and it got personal.
Extremely. The book describes Bannon openly attacking Ivanka in front of her father, calling her a fucking liar and bluntly dumb as a brick.
He said that to the president's daughter, in front of the president.
That's the account. It highlights the incredibly high stakes, deeply personal, unvarnished nature of these internal power plays. A level of internal warfare you rarely hear about in such detail.
With all that internal drama, all those clashes, it's maybe not surprising there was a huge leaking problem.
Pervasive is the word Wolf uses. He states it simply. Everybody was a leaker.
Including Trump himself.
Even Trump himself. Described as a river of grievances, constantly talking to people who had zero reason to keep his confidences, venting relentlessly about the media, about his own staff.
So it wasn't just leaks going out, it was an internal faucet.
That never turned off. And Wolf details these post-dinner calls Trump would make, often rambling affairs.
What would he talk about?
He'd speculate on the flaws and weaknesses of each member of his staff, called Bannon homeless.
Homeless.
And apparently told him, take a shower, Steve. Priebus was weak and a midget. Kushner, a suck-up. Sean Spicer, stupid.
He said these things about his top team.
To outside confidants, yes. Who, finding these conversations peculiar, alarming, or completely contrary to reason, would often share what was said. So news just went into free circulation.
And the advisors leaked too?
Oh, they were pros. Both Bannon and Kushner became inveterate and polished leakers. Kushner apparently liked Morning Joe as his outlet.
And Bannon
Favored alt-right media. It was this constant battle playing out not just in meetings but very publicly in the press. A true media free-for-all. 3. Confronting crises. Media, Russia, and policy battles.
Okay, let's shift now to the major crises that define this chaotic period, starting with the media. Trump's relationship with the press. It was a running war, right?
Absolutely. Wolf recounts him calling them the most dishonest human beings on earth.
It sounds exhausting, just a constant state of battle for everyone involved.
All-consuming. And this media obsession led to some really defining moments, didn't it? Like alternative facts. Yes. Kellyanne Conway's infamous phrase. She asserted that in defense of the president's claims about inauguration crowd sizes, trying to clarify his statements, she said later.
But the phrase stuck.
Oh, it stuck immediately. Became a defining moment for the administration's contentious relationship with truth, with facts. Fueled that whole adversarial media narrative.
How did Trump personally handle all the negative coverage? Did it get to him?
According to Wolf, deeply. He saw it less as political criticism, more as a deep personal attack.
And Hope Hicks's job was?
Her most important job, reportedly, was interpreting the media for him in the most positive way it could be interpreted, and buffering him from the media that could not be positively spun.
Quite a task. And Trump called her.
Affectionately, perhaps, but also critically. The world's worst PR person.
Huh. And yet, despite all the attacks, he seemed fixated on the New York Times.
Remarkably so. Even while calling reporter Maggie Haberman mean and horrible, the book reveals that he and Hicks would actively plot when next to have the Times come in.
For interviews. Why?
It reveals this curious, contradictory blend. Deep animosity, but also this desperate desire for their attention, maybe their approval.
A classic love-hate dynamic.
Maybe it was the ultimate sign of legitimacy he craved, even from his biggest critics. It's hard to say for sure.
Another telling media moment. The White House Correspondents' Dinner, he wanted to go.
He did, yeah. But his staff was apparently terrified that he would die up there, facing what they expected to be a seething and contemptuous audience.
So who talked him out of it?
Bannon, surprisingly, argued strongly against it, said the media was a much better whipping boy than it was a partner in crime.
Better as an enemy.
Essentially, yes. Trump eventually, maybe reluctantly, agreed not to go. A rare instance, it seems, of his staff successfully overriding a strong impulse.
And then there were the Mika Brzezinski tweets.
Ah, yes. Wolf calls this classic Trump. A complete lack of filter between his private thoughts and his public statements.
What did he say again?
Referred to low IQ crazy Mika and her bleeding badly from a facelift.
Just brutal. And the reaction?
Predictable. Universal liberal opprobrium. But simultaneously and strategically, it unified his base.
So it worked for him, in a way.
It perfectly illustrates that dual, often contradictory impact of his communication style. Offensive to many, energizing to his core supporters, a pattern we saw again and again.
Okay, let's move to another huge crisis. The Russia investigation. Wolf's book details the early impact of the Steele dossier leak, right?
Yes, that landed early. It detailed some beyond-the-pale behavior, including the infamous golden showers allegation, suggested a compromised Trump.
So that immediately cast a shadow.
A significant early blow, absolutely. Raised questions about legitimacy right from the start, regardless of its ultimate veracity.
And the Trump team's response?
Immediate and pervasive. Embrace the deep state narrative.
Define that for us.
They basically viewed the entire intelligence community, CIA, FBI, NSC, as incompetent and mendacious, part of an insidious Obama plot designed to undermine his presidency.
So any negative report was just part of the plot?
Exactly. That framing allowed them to dismiss almost any investigation or critical report as politically motivated, a strategic deflection that became a real hallmark.
We saw this play out with Sally Yates, right? Warning about Michael Flynn.
Yes. The White House, according to Wolf, saw her warning about Flynn's conversations with the Russian ambassador less as a problem with Flynn's conduct.
And more as
a threat from her. An Obama-inclined Justice Department with ears on the Trump team, always searching for the political motive underneath.
Which culminated in those wiretap tweets.
Indeed. Trump directly calling Obama a bad or sick guy, comparing it to Nixon Watergate.
Which the media saw as
largely kooky and farcical.
Yeah.
But it undeniably reflected Trump's deep-seated conviction that he was being unfairly targeted by some powerful, hidden force.
Then came the firing of James Comey. Hugely pivotal. Whose idea was that?
Jared Kushner reportedly agitated for it relentlessly, constantly asking, what can we do about him?
But Bannon disagreed.
Vehemently. With surprising foresight, Wolf recounts. Bannon issued this stark warning. This Russian story is a third-tier story, but you fire Comey, and it'll be the biggest story in the world.
Prophetic words.
It turned out to be very prescient. And then, after Don Jr.'s Trump Tower meeting with Russians became public, things got even more intense.
The meeting about adoption? Or something else?
Well, Trump reportedly insisted it was purely and simply about Russian adoption policy.
Yeah.
Explicitly ordered staff to deny the more problematic discussion about Hillary Clinton.
He ordered a specific narrative.
Wolf describes an aggrieved, unyielding president, literally dominating the discussion on Air Force One, pushing his daughter, son-in-law, and Hope Hicks to craft a manufactured tale.
A cover-up attempt, basically.
That raises profound questions about efforts to control the narrative from the very top, yeah.
And the fallout from that was pretty immediate.
Significant. Legal counsel Mark Corallo quit, believed the Air Force One meeting represented likely obstruction of justice.
Wow. And Bannon?
Enraged. Furiously confronted Hope Hicks, according to Wolf, accused her of doing Jared and Ivanka's dirty work, called her dumb as a stone.
And threatened her.
Reportedly threatened, I am going to fuck you and your little group. It sounds like the tension inside was just at an absolute breaking point, open civil war.
Okay, shifting gears slightly to policy debates amidst all this chaos. Obamacare repeal. Huge Republican goal. Trump was on board.
Not really, according to Wolf's sources. He had little or no interest in it. Found healthcare a distasteful subject.
Seriously, after campaigning on repeal.
Apparently. Wolf writes he probably favored government-funded healthcare more than any other Republican. Even wondered aloud, why can't Medicare simply cover everybody?
It's astonishing. That's basically single payer.
Absolute heresy to many Republicans. Revealed a fundamental disconnect. But Bannon insisted it was a litmus Republican issue, non-negotiable for the base.
So they pushed ahead. And Paul Ryan's role.
Then Speaker Ryan seemed more focused on logistics, maybe. Wolf recounts he outsourced the writing of the bill to insurance companies and K Street lobbyists.
Outsourced it to lobbyists.
And promised Trump a done deal, easy to pass. Seems Trump was happy to let others handle details on policies he didn't personally care much about, as long as the optics worked.
Then the Syria chemical attack in April 2017. How did that expose Trump's foreign policy thinking?
Wolf describes his views as random, uninformed, and seemingly capricious. Bannon, true to form, argued against intervention, said a chemical attack didn't change the circumstances on the ground.
But Trump did intervene. Why the shift?
Ivanka Trump and Dina Powell reportedly struggled to help support the least disruptive approach. They ended up showing Trump a presentation with literal big pictures to push his enthusiasm buttons.
Big pictures, like photos.
That's the implication, and it led dramatically to military action. Trump's conversion was apparently swift. It seemed inconceivable to him that we couldn't do something.
A fascinating, almost simplistic insight into decision-making on global security and Afghanistan.
Another area of frustration for him. The book paints him as hating to be told what to do, railing against generals, threatening to fire them.
Why? What was his issue?
He couldn't understand why the U.S. couldn't make money off it, compared it bizarrely to the 21 Club restaurant needing a bigger kitchen. His solution, get a bigger kitchen.
That analogy. Wow. Applying business logic to geopolitics.
Perfectly captures his unconventional, maybe business-oriented approach. And Bannon, he loved this.
Bannon loved Trump railing against the generals.
Saw it as a high point of the presidency. He reveled in Trump hammering them, felt Trump was metaphorically leaving a bowel movement in the middle of their Afghan plans.
Good grief.
Highlights Bannon's profound desire for disruption, his contempt for establishment thinking, tearing down the old guard, whatever that means. 4. The shifting sands. Scaramucci, Kelly, and the Charlottesville aftermath.
Okay, so we arrive at the whirlwind 10 days of Anthony Scaramucci. The mooch.
Ah, yes. Unforgettable. Wolf's account indicates that what to do with Scaramucci became this persistent, almost exasperated question among staff.
He came in hot, didn't he?
Portrayed himself as a new kind of showman set to transform politics, and he immediately started making waves.
Publicly taunting Priebus.
Yes, and adopting this brash, tough guy attitude about Bannon. Then came that infamous phone call.
The one to the New Yorker reporter.
Exactly, where he just unloaded these incredibly personal, derogatory details about his colleagues. Wolf suggests he was drinking more than usual and just wired by events beyond his own circuit's capacity.
Sounds like a meltdown, pure chaos unfolding in real time.
It really does, and it culminated incredibly rapidly.
Schweitzer resigned.
Priebus resigned.
And then Scaramucci himself was fired.
All within about 10 days. A true spectacle encapsulating that ongoing internal turmoil.
And right after that whirlwind, General John Kelly arrived as chief of staff.
Yes, his mission was crystal clear. Purge the West Wing chaos, try to compartmentalize it, impose some military-style order on the free-for-all.
But he faced an immediate challenge.
The biggest one. Jared and Ivanka's special access and overriding influence. Trump was apparently delighted with all aspects of their performance, even saw Jared as a future Secretary of State.
So Kelly versus Jarvanka was the main event.
That conflict really set the stage for Kelly's battle, and he tried to enforce discipline quickly.
Oh, so?
Wolf recounts him even showing up uninvited at Trump's dinner with Jarvanka.
Crashing their dinner.
To make it unequivocally clear, they needed to go through him to talk to the president. A bold assertion of authority, setting a new precedent for access.
And Bannon's reaction to Kelly's arrival.
Bannon, interestingly, had hoped Kelly would find a way to send Jarvanka home. He openly believed he, Bannon, could not remain in the White House if they did.
So it was them or him?
That's how Wolf portrays it. Bannon then forced his own resignation in what he saw as a strategic game of chicken, wanting to stay, but making it clear Jarvanka had to go first.
Shows the deep ideological and personal stakes Bannon felt were involved. For the soul of the administration, as he saw it.
Absolutely.
And the dynamic between Trump and Kelly themselves, once Kelly was fully in charge.
Complicated doesn't even begin to cover it. Wolf's account suggests Trump constantly asked if Kelly liked him, still needing that personal validation.
And Kelly, did he like him?
Kelly's distaste for the president was open knowledge, according to Wolf. He reportedly condescended to Trump in every word and gesture.
Ouch. How did Trump take that?
Apparently saw Kelly as a disapproving and censorious father figure, a profoundly complex, challenging relationship at the very top.
And then came Charlottesville, a major test for this turbulent environment.
A huge test. Wolf describes that stark image, the organized parade, young men in khakis, polo shirts, carrying torches, chanting, "Jews will not replace us." A deeply disturbing public display.
And Trump's initial response was problematic.
Muddled and controversial, yes. Wolf states he instinctively resisted condemning white racists. Found it easy and obvious, but resisted anyway.
Why resist the obvious condemnation?
Reflects maybe a deeper, troubling pattern. An apparent reluctance to alienate certain parts of his base, perhaps.
But others pushed for a stronger response.
Jared and Ivanka, backed by Kelly this time, pushed hard for clarity. Urged presidential behavior, demanded a forceful censure of hate groups.
But Bannon predicted that wouldn't work.
Shrewdly, yes. Bannon predicted the Jarvanka approach would backfire. Why? Because it would be clear Trump's heart's not in it. It would look forced, insincere.
And was Bannon right?
True to his prediction, Trump's subsequent speech was described as a reluctant mini-grovel, clearly reading forced lines, looking like a kid called on the carpet.
And even then,
Wolf notes he continued to rationalize why someone would be a member of the KKK, further blurring the lines,
which led to that infamous Trump Tower press conference,
where he went completely off script, delivering a defensive and self-justifying message. Wolf points out his evident ability to adjust his emotions to political circumstance, pivoting back to what he really wanted to say.
And there's business fallout, too.
Significant. The president disbanded his business advisory councils after numerous CEOs resigned in protest. Steven Schwartzman apparently advised Trump to at least make it look as if shutting it down was his decision, manage the optics.
Even after Bannon left the White House, his influence didn't just disappear, did it?
Not at all. His opinions continued to reverberate. Upon leaving, he famously declared, "I'm good. I'm back." I said, "Don't do it. You don't fire the director of the FBI." The geniuses around here thought otherwise.
Claiming vindication.
Clearly believed he'd been proven right. And he continued his public verbal assault on Jarvanka,
Why keep attacking them from the outside?
believing he was effectively blackmailing the president by controlling the narrative and virulence of right-wing digital media, a power play, even from outside the gates.
It highlights that complex, maybe transactional relationship between Trump and the media ecosystem that supported him.
Absolutely. And Bannon's vision, as documented by Wolf, went way beyond just Trump. He saw Trump as merely a chapter or even a detour in the much larger Trump revolution, which he believes was fundamentally about weaknesses in the two major parties. A deeper, systemic shift he was aiming for.
Something bigger than one presidency.
Much bigger and more long-lasting, in his view. And perhaps most provocatively, Bannon made predictions about the Mueller investigation.
What did he predict?
Claimed its path to Trump would go right through Paul Manafort, Don Jr., and Jared Kushner, and that it was all about money laundering.
Strong claims. Did he offer advice?
Unsolicited advice, conveyed through various channels. Stark advice. Seal the Oval Office. You send those two kids home, you get rid of Hope, all these deadbeats, and you listen to your legal team.
Paints a picture of intense paranoia, high stakes, and deep internal divisions continuing even after he left.
Exactly. The drama didn't end with his departure.
So we've just navigated a truly chaotic, extraordinary period, the early days of the Trump White House, from that improbable victory and dazed, defiant transition
to the intense internal power struggles, major policy battles. We've seen how these outsized personalities clashed.
How information flowed, or more often didn't, and how the media became both this relentless target and sometimes an unpredictable tool.
Yeah, this deep dive into Wolf's fire and fury really reveals a core challenge of this period, a presidency often defined less by conventional policy.
And more by its singular, attention-grabbing narrative.
Right. Despite, as Wolf puts it, failing to master almost any aspect of the bureaucratic process and accomplishing, practically speaking, nothing, with the notable exception of the Supreme Court nomination.
Despite all that,
Donald Trump produced on a daily basis an astonishing, can't-stop-following-it narrative.
And that narrative, that continuous drama, it held everybody's attention. It's an unprecedented focus on personality, on constant spectacle, rather than conventional governance and quiet bureaucracy.
It really is.
So for you, our listener, what does this suggest about the future of political leadership? Does this shift in focus, this unprecedented emphasis on personality and narrative over traditional policy, does it change your expectations?
Expectations for those in power, and maybe for the media that covers them, in this age of constant spectacle.
It's definitely a thought worth mulling over.
Thank you for listening to The Deep Dive.